This is the Horsepower Hour.
Hello once again to the Horsepower Hour, the only podcast with a salvage title. Joining me as always, Coy, how you doing, buddy?
I'm doing good.
Hey, fun fact for you. I just learned about a half an hour ago that 4 of our live stream videos have been struck down by Facebook for copyright.
I wonder what the copyright strike is over.
It's looking like it's in like car sounds, music that may have been in the background of a few videos. It was just interesting to me because 4 of them got hit today.
Good. I'm glad that we might have accidentally played someone else's music without them getting money for it. Of course, we would have gotten no money, and they may have, got a new listener or made someone interest. I love when you get a copyright strike when we play like an advertisement that we want to talk about for a car or something. They're like, nope. And it's like, I'm pushing your advertisement. You should pay me. That's how ads work.
At least, I mean, I don't need to be paid for it, but at least don't like strike my shit down when I'm trying to talk to people about what you have going on. It seems counterproductive, doesn't it?
I agree as well.
Momo's in the comment with some political hot takes.
Is that in Oregon? Did that just happen here?
I can
know. Keep all my magazines.
Momo is not from Oregon, but if the Supreme Court ruled it, sorry everybody out there listening to this, standard capacity magazine ban has been found unconstitutional is what Momo is saying. So if that's the case, that's great news
for me. I mean, it doesn't matter for you in Florida, I guess.
Well, no, I've got all the freedoms in the world. I don't need it.
I mean, good for me, bad for school children, right?
Wow.
Too soon or too late? I don't know.
Hot take, Coy. Hot take. Wow. Hey, you want to know a fun fact about the Titanic?
Yeah.
The pool still has water in
it. So I hear. Did you know that the lobsters that were in the tanks in the Titanic, they're fine? I mean, they're actually probably still alive.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's a real good point.
Yeah, they brought all these lobsters planning to eat them. Guess what? They let them go. Catch and release, baby. They actually took them out to the middle of the Atlantic Ocean. Where it's like, if you come back, then we know you love us.
Yeah,
go away, little butterfly.
It was an unintentional lobster rescue.
Mm-hmm. Or was it?
Oh my goodness! You know what? The lobsters, they orchestrated the whole thing, Coy.
Yeah, it's probably PETA.
Lobsters did 9/11.
Yeah.
All right, man. So we're really starting this thing off hot and heavy today. You sent me this.
Hang on. Speaking of water, I got a work story I got to tell just because it's so good. And we talked about the Titanic and the ocean.
Yeah.
I do directional drilling, and you force this rod horizontally underground. You can steer it a certain extent. It goes out. You hook a pipe to the end. You drag it back, essentially. And this rod has water that you pump through it. For different types of grounds and things, we pump different kinds of additives with the water. There's one, it's a polymer, and there's several different brand names. It has the consistency of cum. Like it just straight. That's what it looks like. I don't know how to. It's off-white. It's sticky, but also slick. You get it on your hands, you can never get it off. You try not to touch it. So in the industry, it gets a lot of nicknames. I mean, a lot. And they all, they all veer that direction. I park at a 7-Eleven with a truck with a drill tank on it, a little water splashed out the top. And there's this probably 50-something-year-old lady parking a bus. She gets out, says, "Hey, you're leaking a little water." I'm like, yeah, it's just tap water. It's fine. Says, so do you guys use whale semen, whale sperm? And I was like, what? Deadpan, straight face this lady has. And I'm like, I thought she was in on it, and then there was no smile. And I was like, no, we don't. It looks kind of like that, I guess. And she's like, oh, my ex-husband, he was a driller and he always complained about the whale sperm. I was like, oh, yeah, no, that's what it looks like though. And it does come in 5-gallon buckets. She's No embarrassment.
So
Nothing.
do whales. So do whales, by the way.
And I just kind of, and then we parted ways into the 7-Eleven. It was amazing. Like, I've never had just this middle-aged lady straight face talk to me about whale cum and me be like, no. And then with no hint of embarrassment or anything, all this time I thought you guys actually dumped animal semen in the water. It turns out it's a chemical polymer that just vaguely resembles maybe that. I don't know. And it was this crazy experience that I had to share with you personally on the air.
Wow. Wow.
Nothing to do with automotive.
I mean, look, that tops all of my sticky substance stories. So I'm with it. I'm with you.
All right. Anyways, let's go on with the news, bro. Like, what are we waiting for?
Yeah, man. So again, this is something that you sent me, and you're going to have to help me out with this because the story has a backstory, and the backstory is just not at all what I expected. Things keep just getting deeper and juicier, just like your drill head. So we had 8 dudes that got snowed in on the Rubicon. Eight guys that were in some pretty serious off-road vehicles, and then this cold snap that's been coming through apparently dumped, feet of snow on these guys. Is that right?
Yeah, I believe there was already snow, from what I understand. I've been following this, but it's not a news story. It's like Facebook comments, different groups, and the guys didn't really have phone service, so there was very limited communication out of there. And they went in snow camping. I guess they're kind of veterans. This is not like these guys were not noobs. There was 8 of them, and for whatever reason, I assume they didn't think they'd get that much snow. They went up there camping, got snowed in. There was at least 4 foot that got put down on top of whatever was already there. Big storm came through. They've been working their way out for, I think it hit 8 days today. They just got out today. And at least one of these vehicles was on like 35s, which is a decent sized tire. But when we're talking Rubicon and 4 feet of snow, no, so they started running out of food and water, I guess, from what I understand. Excuse me. Gas, water, or gas and food got choppered into them. Now, this is not search and rescue. I have to assume that this went on somebody's credit card, or somebody was friends with someone with a helicopter, because they didn't want to use search and rescue, because search and rescue does not recover vehicles. They recover people and or bodies.
Right.
So they wanted to get their vehicles out, because if they didn't get them out, they're probably stuck there all winter. Almost certainly. So these guys have been for literally 7 to 8 days working their way out, just eking along. A group tried to get in to help them and made it to about a half mile from where they were. A snowcat passed them at some point. There's some video of that. The snowcat got to within a half mile of this group, got to a creek crossing, couldn't go any farther. So these guys then took about the next 2 days, it seems like. They must have just been basically shoveling their way out, from what I can tell. Because, I think the total distance they were in is like 7-8 miles. They weren't that far in, but just in this much snow, it just wasn't. They weren't having problems getting out. So they finally made it back to pavement today. They got in, took a couple hours to get across the creek, I guess. And then the would-be rescuers, the guys that did try to help, they had, kind of blown the path into them, and they were able to get out today. So, holy crap. Wow, bros. Like, some shit was talked online, which obviously there always is. Then other people kind of defended them, said these guys, they're not idiots. They know what they're doing. So, but man, can you imagine that kind of adventure? As far as I know, Mobile Moto, he said limited phone service, but live streaming video. The video you're seeing is the people that were trying to get to them. I've only caught a few pictures of the people trying to get out. So if you had a live stream of that, I would have loved to see it, because I've actually been like intensely following this for a week, basically, because it's a crazy story. There's been memes going around, but I want to talk to these guys so bad.
Yeah.
Like, I know they're catching a little flack right now, but And I'm sure it was horrible. But can you imagine the adventure of having to like dig yourself out for a week straight to get out? Like that's some like Donner Party, Richard Byrd in the Antarctic kind of stories, dude. This is like not modern day stuff.
My only question is, did they fight any Nazi aliens? Sorry,
dude,
that's
they did.
That's a deep pull from the Richard Byrd thing. So sorry if anybody doesn't understand. I'll link you some YouTube videos that'll scramble your brains, baby.
Oh, were you Mobile Moto? Did you follow this? Garmin InReach emergency request for gas and Oreos. I honestly don't know how they got the chopper in. I just heard that they got. I don't even know if they truly did get a chopper, but if you're trying to get out for a week, they almost certainly had to get fuel brought to them. I don't see why somebody couldn't have snowmobiled it in. I would have paid a dude to snowmobile it in. Be like, dude, I'll give you $800 to just run back and forth with gas cans on a snowmobile, because I'm guessing top like gas for $10,000, or something crazy.
Yeah, that's that's a really good point. Somebody with a side by side with tracks on it, something like that. It seems like there would have been an easier way to get stuff into them, but we also don't know how much snow was falling day by day. Like maybe the conditions just kept getting worse and worse, and people didn't know, they didn't want to risk getting stuck up there themselves. I don't know.
It didn't seem like the conditions were getting worse. They just started out, the initial snowfall that they just got right off the bat while they're up there was just so heavy. And it was like super fluff powder, which times can be easier to drive through, but you can't really get up on it at a certain point. So, and then, you're getting stuck and you're having to shovel like crazy. At one point in the comments and Facebook, I heard that they trucked a front loader in. We're just going to just like clear the snow all the way to them, just like blow a road through the snow. And the dude on the lower was like, he didn't take it off the trailer. He was like, nah, I'm not doing that, after he got there and left. What I heard.
So I have a question for you, my friend. After seeing what these guys went through and then putting yourself in their shoes, if you would just sort of like imagine you were in that group of dudes.
Yeah.
What one thing would you buy right now that you think could have made a difference in that situation?
Well, for Snowcat, there's some comments about the Snowcat. So the Snowcat was having no problems getting to them. It had a blade and stuff and was blading it out. There was some kind of creek crossing that it couldn't do. I'm assuming in a lot of creeks, when the snow, it makes like cliff edges, and it's Snowcats, while they can do some crazy stuff, their articulation's not what it could be. So yeah, and maybe he just didn't want to shovel. I really don't know. There's lobster bib and some sharp knives. Man, that's a tough one. If I'm a week in the snow like that, and I'm just thinking about like my normal snow camping loadout, what would I want to have brought with me? So I only bring a regular, 4.5 foot digging shovel. That's what I always bring. It's what I'm most comfortable with. If I was in light, fluffy snow, I would be begging for like a grain shovel so I could just throw that stuff. Right. Maybe some icy hot, because, dude, the amount of, 8 guys is a lot of dudes and you can move a lot of snow. But, bro, miles of it, like they were having to just, I don't know the story, but it sounds like they were pretty much just slamming into it, shoveling it, slamming into it, shoveling it. Like, it would have been rough. Like, this is like a real deal. So, aspirin, ibuprofen, Vicodin, I don't know at all at that situation.
Well, the correct answer actually was a Harbor Freight snowblower, but I appreciate you.
Harbor Freight snowblower. I don't even know what all that's going to do for you.
I don't know. So at this point, like, what do you need? A flamethrower? Do you need, instead of the helicopter dropping off like food and water and gas, what if it just started dumping, tons of salt? Like, who knows? In a situation
at this
like
point,
that,
if I'm paying that much, I'm gonna get somebody to call for me. Those triangle bolt-on tracks that go on your vehicle. I'm having the chopper drop those. I'm pulling my tires off. I'm putting those on, and I'm gonna fucking drive. And my 8 friends, hopefully this is gonna be enough for you to get out. I don't know. Like, drop me some bigger tires.
You wouldn't chain them together? You wouldn't like, hook your winch to the back of me, and then the dude behind you hook your winch to him.
Possibly. I haven't seen pictures of all the vehicles, and like one of them's like a really cool looking like FJ 45, old Land Cruiser pickup with a kind of a camper shell on the back. One of them looked like some kind of lifted wagon or something. I guess these all guys were veteran snow campers. I don't know if they were like veteran deep snow wheelers, and like their vehicles were decent, but they weren't on 40s from what I could tell. You know what I mean? So I think they pretty much dug their way out. Like that's what it looks like. And like, I also would like to know why they didn't like look at the forecast. Like there's a part of, but surely they knew there was snow coming, but they must have underestimated the amount. I have no idea.
I think it's possible. I mean, could you imagine finding out like two of these dudes in this 8-car group were on lifted Subarus or something? I mean, could you just imagine like being in that situation? Because I'm looking back at myself when I went and ran in the dunes with those lifted Jeeps that were all on 40s, and I'm in my little stock ride height truck. Like, how would you feel if you were in a I don't know, lifted Forester and a bunch of your like Jeeper buddies with their 38-inch tires were like, yeah, come on ahead, we're just going through some snow, and then you get snowed in like that?
Not cool. Because honestly, they had 8 vehicles. At if there was one of them was like a lifted Subaru on 31s and you're like struggling to get out, I think I've been like, hey bro, we're gonna push it off to like, you know what I mean? Like, first of all, you got to get it at the back of the line, but even then,
yeah,
like I got to find more out about this story. I'm following it. It sounded like I'm a little jealous. Like it sounded like an amazing time, but also sounded horrible. You know what I mean? It's one of those.
Well, I'm glad you're jealous, because our next news story is something that I would never be jealous of. Never, ever, ever in a million years. Never, ever, ever. Do you know the Freedom Factory? Braden?
I'm very aware. Yes.
Yeah.
He finally lost in that oval race to a Dodge Viper or something, and everybody was like, "Oh, he got beat," and I was like, "Oh no, it was a Corvette." Did you see that video?
I did.
Everybody was like talking mad crap that he got beat by a Corvette, and I was like, "Bro, that Corvette has like crazy aero, like it looked like a Time Attack Corvette."
He's
or
the
like
owner of the track. I mean, this is one of those situations where, he's a good driver in the first place. Also, he's the owner of the track, so he just goes out there and hot laps whenever he wants.
I know,
Like,
but that's why everybody was like, "Oh, the dude, the owner of the track got beat on his own track," and it's like, bro, you had like crazy downforce, and he was in like a Porsche or something. I don't even know what it was.
I'm sorry, but that's just so dumb to me. It would be like if I owned Indianapolis Motor Speedway and then Mario Andretti III came and beat my time on it. It's like, yeah, motherfucker. Obviously. I mean, I'm not the world's worst driver, but I don't come from F1 racing heritage or pedigree. Like, I don't know. When people do that stuff, it annoys me. Like, I'm not trying to defend the dude that owns the track or anything like that. I mean, he seems like a decent guy. Everybody I've talked to, especially since moving down here, we're about 5 hours away from the Freedom Factory. So I know some of the car guys around here have been over there and met him, and everything seems really kosher. A couple of the dudes have been on his podcast that I met here. They're guys that have the 1200 horsepower cars that wouldn't even dream on coming on our little program, but we'll wear them down. But anyways, by all metrics, Garrett, whatever his last name is, Miller, Mason, something like that, seems like a real good dude. And honestly, this is such a tough situation for the Freedom Factory. They're potentially facing being shut down. And it's not that anyone is telling them they need to shut down. It's just the way things are looking right now. I've got this infographic to pick up. Devin's in the comments. He says Mitchell. Yeah, it's Garrett and Mitchell. Thank you for that. Jake Jaden's join in. Thank you so much, Jake. But take a look at this map. So you have 2 properties. One's called Taylor Ranch. The other's called East River Ranch. Now, granted, listen, these are privately owned properties that are now being sold to land developers. They want to put something like 4,500 homes.
That's what I heard.
No, I'm sorry.
4,500.
4,500 is just Taylor Ranch. If they roll the East River Ranch in as well, I believe it'll be something like 8,000 new homes, and it will completely surround the Bradenton Motorsports Park, also known as the Freedom Factory. And there is no way they're going to survive. Absolutely no way, because we've seen it happen time and time again. Coy, look, PIR in Portland, Oregon. How many times have they tried to shut that down? Only every single year for the last 60 years, right?
Yeah. The Portland late night drags now end at like 9:30. It's barely dark.
And okay, the track is actually in a wetland. You can never put homes there. I mean, the politicians in Portland have been threatening for decades. We're going to close the track down because we need that area for homes, but they can't build homes there. It's a lowland. It's a wetland. So you can't build homes there anyways. They just want to shut it down because they want to shut it down. Because it's in Oregon, I have to assume it's because they just don't want people to have fun. But anyways,
you build a track in the middle of nowhere, far out of town, and in land that could not be used for anything else or is unlikely to. And it's cheap, usually cheap land. Then somebody realizes that there's cheap land around the track because people don't really like to live around racetracks. Then they put a bunch of houses in, which sell for cheaper because they're next to the racetrack. Then all the people in the houses go, the track is so noisy. And it ends up the county ends up shutting them down. It happens over and over and over and over.
And of course, that's the expectation here. And, you know, you have to ask yourself, what exactly can they do? They're trying to petition right now to have believe it or not, they're in Manatee County, Coy.
Like the fat seal manatee. Like
the sea cow manatee.
Yeah.
So they're in Manatee County, and Manatee County has to approve all of this before it can go through. And apparently there's a little bit of the city council is a little bit on the fence because this is agricultural zoned, and losing all of this somewhere in the neighborhood of 3,800 or 4,000 acres of land. There is a concern about what impact that's going to have on agriculture in the region, because some of these are still subdivided into smaller farms that are leased out, right? And so there is some concern there from the environmental side, but then the other side is Florida has no restrictions on home building, housing, that sort of thing. As a matter of fact, Florida's growing so fast that they need housing anywhere they can find it. And so obviously this is one of those areas where they're like, the owner wants to subdivide it, put homes out there. Homes are what we need. But like Momomoto's saying, it's, and Momomoto's making a good point here. They're trying to make the Freedom Factory install a 25-foot chain link abatement fence and or like dirt barrier or berm of some kind. And he's right. And they're willing to do that. But I watched a portion of the live stream of the city council meeting today, and Garrett was there, and he was just being honest. He was like, we'll put up a 25-foot fence. That's not the problem. The problem is that's not going to do anything for the noise. And I want assurances that noise complaints given against us will not be upheld, because our track is here, and should take precedence over housing. This development could take 5-10 years. And they're just trying to keep from, again, Coy, I really want to know your opinion, because for me, it feels like a gray area. Somebody else owns that land. If they want to subdivide it and put homes on it, that's their land. They have that right.
I feel that way as well. But sadly, the county, people change jobs and things happen. And originally, I think that is all the way it is. Hey, you got to realize this is next to a racetrack. That's why this house costs less. You're going to have some noise. It's going to be uncomfortable. They're going to be running funny cars here 3 weekends in the summer, and you're not going to be able to hear yourself fucking think.
Yeah.
But that's how it always starts out. And then eventually it's like, well, hey guys, can you shut it down before? I know you're running till 11. Let's shut it down at 10. And then it just, it's kind of like how you used to be able to smoke while you bought groceries. And then it was like, well, not in here. You can smoke we'll do a smoking section in the restaurant. You don't sit next to some children and smoke. You're going to sit in your own section over here. Remember when you were a kid, you could see the smokers over on the side wall?
Oh,
then they're
absolutely.
like, look, you want to have a cigarette, go outside or go to the bar. And everybody's like, yeah, okay. And then they're like, hey, you can't smoke in the bar. And they're like, well, that's okay. And then they're like, hey, you know how that little spot right outside the door? You got to be like 25 feet from that. And they're like, okay. And now they're like, hey, you actually have to get on a bus and go out to the country and rent a spot on a farmer's land to have your cigarette. And no, the park or beach is also not like, it always slowly gets ratcheted. Sometimes that's for good. Sometimes it's not. Honestly, though, and I don't know if this has been brought up, because this is the one way I see tracks work and not get shut down. Why don't we just, any houses within a quarter mile of the track, we make an HOA that specifically caters to automotive enthusiasts. And then, if you're in the HOA, you pay this much and it pays for, so many track days and stuff. So when you do that, you're only going to get people in that scene living within X amount, of the track who are paying an HOA, which, gets them, some of those fees are going to go to the track. Like, Track of the Northwest is doing a similar thing,
Right.
Like, I know he's obviously scared it's going to get shut down, and I would be too, but I don't know. Once it's in this stage, it's really hard to stop that march. Once the county is even considering that being made into housing, it's only a matter of time. They'll just revisit this in 10 years if they shoot them down now. Like, it's going to happen.
You can't unring a bell.
Yeah. So unless the track wants to buy that land themselves, which probably way too expensive, but I would get, if I was Garrett, I would get into with the developers. But look, check this out. My track's noisy. It's going to make your houses sell for less within a certain radius of the track, but we could make them sell for more. You know what I mean? If we did this. So that's what I'd say he needs to do. He needs to work it in to a HOA thing where you're, if you're in the HOA and you live there, you get X, this HOA gets to use the track on these weekends. You got different tier packages that you can buy, that's what I do.
I agree. I think that would be a really amicable situation for all parties. But I don't know, it's just such a weird, and what's interesting is the Freedom Factory or Bradenton Motorsports Park, whatever you want to call it. It's by far and away the fastest growing and most popular track because of all the internet fame and the fact that really it's owned by car guys, strictly car guys. It's not some investment group that owns it. Circuit of the Northwest, very similar. The owners, the people putting the whole thing together, they're all car guys. Their ownership package, which was absolutely mind-blowing to me. What was it, like $80,000 a year to be an owner?
Oh, it's crazy, crazy high. Yeah, I could never. If that's all my paycheck went to, I don't know if I could afford it.
How, how would you even judge? Anyways, it doesn't matter. The point is, they're really catering to car people. If you're an investor in this thing, you automatically get free track days. And what they've done with the Circuit of the Northwest is really set themselves up, to where their investors are not just people with money that are like, oh, if it's not working anymore, I want all my money out of it. They've specifically sold and catered to car guys, people that love cars. And so even if they didn't buy up all the property around there, all the homes around there or something, I don't know. Maybe they could find somebody who wanted to bankroll that, because especially if they wanted to hold on to those homes as like you said, an HOA, or maybe even make them rentals. Hey, the bigger the Freedom Factory gets, maybe they could purchase those homes and just have them as Airbnbs. Like, I don't know, but thinking outside of the box is a good idea right now, because inevitably, back me up, Coy, inevitably, if they do nothing, they will be shut down in 5 years.
True. So I still think he needs to get with the developers. If you can just imagine there was some kind of track package and you got to have a house near the, within walking distance of the Freedom Factory, how many rich, how much more would that house sell for? Like, they'd be 99% vacation homes, I would guess. So there wouldn't even be people in them most of the time to complain. Like, think about that. Think about how many rich dudes from everywhere would be like, yeah, I'll take a vacation home 83 feet from the Freedom Factory, quarter mile from the Freedom Factory. Like, they're gonna sell a lot of those doing that. Especially if we can put like an airstrip in there. Now, the other thing that I would consider, I don't know how Florida is on this, but this would work in Oregon. I would plant so many endangered plants in that area. I would trap endangered animals and put them out there and pay a photographer to I would just pay a marine biologist to go out there and document this shit and be like, bro, you're going to build a house there? See this nest? This is the Dopine warbler, and there's 3 left. There was 4, but somebody was trying to trap some like 3 months ago and it killed one by accident. So anyways, yeah.
Hey, that could backfire in a big way, though, because if any of those plants or animals migrate onto the grounds of the racetrack, you are done.
The racetrack's locked up, bro. Like, you own the biologist, and whoever's your groundkeeper, like, just have him keep a shotgun right on the mower. Just like, oh no, not you, poosh.
So I don't have like direct knowledge or background in this, but I will tell you, my ex-father-in-law, who passed away, rest in peace. He was a complete and total asshole, though. He had what did he have, like 3 acres with this shitty old house, and he made his back 2.5 acres or 2 3/4 acres. I mean, virtually all of his property. He petitioned the city to make it a protected wetland, just so that they couldn't build homes and condos on the backside of his property. Now, he was never allowed to use his property for anything else. He wasn't even allowed to mow it. He had to just let it completely overgrow. And all of the animals that moved into the area, I'm talking mice, I'm talking all of the insects you could imagine, like Australia's worth of stuff, came pouring into the house and made everything moist and all the other stuff, and totally backfired in a huge way. And the irony, I felt like the real irony here was that for everything he espoused about everything needs to be green, we need to keep everything clean. I don't believe in guns. Like, one time he told us after they came for a visit and left, he said, had I known you had guns in the house, I never would have stayed because I feel unsafe. Dude was burning fuel oil for heat all through the year, getting literally 1,000 gallons a year, and just burning fuel oil for all of his heat. And I was just like, okay. Coy, you know what you've told me in the past? You're like, you have to decide if a person is an idiot or a liar.
Hey, there's always a third option. Both. They can be both. They can be an idiot liar or lying idiot. Yeah, it's stupid or liar, whatever you want to call it. It's just like, yeah, you can choose one or the other or both, but you have to pick these 3.
Yeah. I hate when I see stuff like this happening. Lots of comments coming in. We appreciate you guys for that. Jake, Jaden, and Devin Gibson are both saying this is the first time they've ever considered having an HOA. Momomoto, good point. Like fly-in hangar home developments. Yeah, we've seen
that's
those
exactly what spurred that idea. And then, Circuit of the Northwest has a similar thing. But yeah, in like just here in Dallas, Oregon, I think it's Dallas or Independence, one of those little towns over there. They have a airport, and you can literally there's houses around the outside edge of it, and you just take your plane and taxi right into your own hangar next to your house. It's a small airport.
Cool.
Yeah, it's super awesome. Almost none of those people actually fly planes because they all got old but stayed living there. But still, they have hangars, and it's cool.
Yeah. Coy, we got another news article here. I don't know. I feel like this one's overdue, if I'm being totally honest. So, the used car company, Carvana?
I do, but I don't even really, honestly, dude, I seen their advertisements, and it was always like, hey, you need cash now, we'll buy your car from you. And that's all I know about them. And then the name. Like, I really don't know.
They're the J.G. Wentworth of used cars. If you've got a used car and you need cash now, call Carvana. We'll fuck you up the ass. So that's what they became known for, is just literally, if you tried to sell them your used car, they would offer you half as much as it was worth.
Here, let's do some role play. Like I'm in a bind and I'm going to call Carvana and try and sell my car.
Sure, yeah. I have no idea what type of person they were hiring, so I'll just do a generic Indian accent.
Okay. Ring, ring. Ring, ring.
Oh.
Hello, is this
not that type of Indian, sorry. Yes, hello.
Is this Carvana?
Yeah.
Like the used car place.
That's what the sign says.
Well, I'm on the phone. I just Googled this. I was expecting. So here's the deal, bro. I need to sell my car. I don't have time to mess around. It's a 2015 Chevy Duramax 2500 diesel. I'm moving. I'm going to be in the city. I don't need any more. How much will you, can we do this?
What year was that again?
It's 2015.
Yeah. How many miles do I have on it?
98,000. I mean, it's under 100. So that's,
you have any of the maintenance records or anything?
I got some of them. I don't think I have them all, but I mean,
I'm just kidding. We don't give a shit of a fuck about that. I'm just joking. So what's the overall condition? I mean, is it in pretty good condition?
It's in pristine condition, man. I mean, it's 10 out of 10. I got one little scratch on the driver's door where somebody dinged me, but that is the only thing. Like I'll go around it with video camera, whatever you want.
I'm gonna pick something out here on my computer real quick. Yeah, it looks like we can offer you $1,500 right now, today, cash money.
For the whole truck?
That's cash, bro. Did I say cash?
I paid $1,700 for the tires like 3 months ago.
Okay, but you paid credit, because I can tell from your voice you're definitely not paying cash for anything. What I'm offering you is cash money right now.
I can't just give it away, man. Like can we go? I mean, this is a car deal. Can't we go back and forth a little bit here? Like I was thinking like $26,000. Like it's a pretty nice car. It's a diesel. Like this Duramax.
God, this guy is such an idiot. Sorry, I was
sorry, I can hear you.
No, I know you can't. I'm just going to talk to my manager real quick. I'll just be right back. Yeah, talk to him. He said we can do 1,200.
You just offered me 15 though. 1,500.
I have no recollection of that, sir.
Look, I first of all, bro, like just go fuck yourself. Like I'm out. I'm out.
If you want to sell it to us, we will give you $1,200. I will literally count it out in $1 bills, so it makes you feel more rich than you actually are. That is a feeling I know you're used to. So are we doing this or not? It's cash money.
Can you do a 20-piece McNugget with that 1,200? I gotta get rid of this thing anyways.
No drink?
Could you? I mean, I'll take the drink too. Yeah, just like
no drink. No drink. Sold. We'll give you the 20-piece nugget. Sold. Done.
Oh, thank you so much.
You're welcome. Hey, now we're going to do a different role play. This is a role play where I have stolen a car and then printed off a fake title on a home inkjet printer and brought it to Carvana. And yes, that has happened multiple times. They've been investigated. Carvana has literally bought hundreds of stolen vehicles. It's almost like Carvana is just like a money laundering front at this point. It's actually kind of shocking. And I've had some really interesting looking graphs. Coy, can I show you one of these?
Yeah.
I think you're really, really going to enjoy this. Let me get zoomed in on this a bit. Here we go. Check that out. That's the last 5 years of Carvana. Okay. So you'll notice stock prices started about $5. No, I take that back. When they first dropped on the market, they're about $20.67 is what I'm seeing here. They had an all-time high of $360.98 per share. Do you know where they're at now, Coy?
A little less than they started.
Just a smidge, $5.47 per share. Now, as Coy pointed out to me just maybe an hour ago, had he invested yesterday, maybe $200, the share made its way all the way down to $3.16. And now it's back up. See, now it's back up to 5.5, but it was
I would have. What is that? A fucking 38% increase, 35% on my money? Yeah. Boom.
Hard to beat that in the stock market, huh?
Put my entire IRA into that stuff. It's self-directed, bro. I put it where I want. Okay.
I will tell you right now, Carvana is not doing well. Oh, I probably should shout out where we're finding this stuff. CNBC, by the way, don't ever believe anything that CNBC says unless it's independent journalism like this. Yeah, Carvana, it is taking an absolute hot shit. It is unbelievable how bad they're doing right now. And they've tried to blame it on, the used car market's being shook up, or hey, we grew a little too fast, we're a little cash poor. From what I'm seeing,
these motherfuckers would have never got big, but COVID, people didn't need their cars and didn't have jobs and sold them cars. They're the fucking payday loan store of used car lots. They're like, yeah, here you go. Here's some money. Now go fuck yourself. Like they're literally just trash. Like good. I'm glad this is happening to them. Like they're not a good company. And from what I've heard in the comments, the dudes that owned it were crooks. So I have no way to verify that. Holy shit, Fireback, they offered $500 for your F-350. That was a pretty nice truck.
I think what he means is they needed an additional $500 in order to buy the truck from him.
Like he would give them the truck and he would pay them $500 for it?
Well, yeah, because he was still making payments on the truck.
Oh,
I could be wrong. Logan, if you're still in the comments, tell me if I'm wrong. Jake Jaden says $500 hot and ready. And GameStop. Yeah, it's feeling like a real, and you know what? Mobile Moto's in here too.
Don't GameStop it. That's where it got pumped up. Let this shit crash.
Yeah, let it just free fall and die. Mobile Moto says worse than that. The guys behind Carvana are some crooks from Phoenix. I did not actually look that part up. I don't know. But as I said, when we first started into this smells like it could be a money laundering thing, because Carvana is just, and let's remind everybody, they did the, what's it called? The conveyor rotisserie, the elevator of the cars that were on it, which is very cool. And I think a lot of people got caught up in that, when it was first up and coming, and especially they had huge ad campaigns and, hey, let's make it so easy to buy cars. Like, no big deal. You just hop online, find the car you want, and you buy it. Hey, you got a car to sell? Just swing it on by, drop it off. We'll take a look and we'll give you good money for it. And of course, none of that happened. None of it worked out that way. But it was so gimmicky, and they tried to grow it so fast. There was nowhere for it to go but down. Doesn't it feel like, Coy?
I don't think it ever would have went up if COVID hadn't happened, which also, increased the price of used cars and made it so a lot of people didn't need a car, didn't need an extra car. They could get by with one car. And so many people were out of work. Like, they needed money. Like, I honestly think that this was just the right timing. You look at that graph and it's just like COVID hits, it just goes up, COVID ends, it goes down. And here we are now back where we started. Like, good. Fuck you.
I agree. I think you're 100% right. It was just that was the right time. Had they sold the company at the peak, by the way, they would have, well, I don't know what they would have made, but the valuation of the company at their height was $60 billion. As of right now, the market cap is $723 million. Obviously, that's very suspect at this point as well, considering what the stock is doing. So Firemedic Smitty, just real quick, he said, I owed $10K on the truck still. So basically they offered him $9,500 for the truck.
He owed 10 on. What do you think your truck was actually worth, though? I'm assuming your truck was, I think his was a 6-liter.
Yeah. And I forget what he got for it in trade, but I know he traded it in on the sweet.
Had to been
Focus
worth
S
between
that.
15 and 20 though, unless it
I'm
had really
sure
high
it's
miles.
even on a trade, it seems like you'd get 12 or 13 for it. But I don't know. Let's see if Logan comes back in the comments. This is an amazing, wonderful thing to watch happen. I never thought I would see it in my lifetime, but man, these guys are absolutely getting the hot poker up the anus right now. And I
And
love to see it.
this one feels extra good because like I didn't have anything invested with like FTX, but it seems like, it was a bunch of crooks in their business. They did a bunch of shit, tried to buy a bunch of politicians, possibly did. And then it all fell out, and you're like, ha, I hope you go to jail forever. And yeah. But I mean, the downside is they lost, people lost their own money. Like he wasted other people's money, it's not just his. Whereas with Carvana, no, it's just their stock. Like it's not, people lose money with stock they bought that went down. Don't get me wrong, but that's a gamble you do, knowingly.
And they
But I
lost
just like
money
to see
selling Carvana their cars.
a lot of people did, but I mean, like I like to see them just get their ass handed to them because, like I said, they're the payday loan place of car dealerships.
It feels predatory, does it not?
It absolutely feels predatory. How could it not be when you're just like, yeah, we'll buy your car for jack shit and then sell you a car. It's not like they were selling cheap cars. Like I'm sure they were just insane markups. So,
And you brought up FTX, by the way. Really, some really interesting stuff going on there. So the dude has been arrested. This is just a couple of days ago. He was arrested in the Bahamas.
yeah, after he told Congress, he was like, I'm really booked, so I can't come talk with you guys right now. Can you imagine your dick was that big? Doing Congress, like, hey, we need to talk with you. And you're like, yeah, I'm super booked. So it's going to be a few months. Like, I'm talking to a lot of people.
I'm not sure it's about the dick being big. Here's the founder, Sam Bankman-Fried, I think his name is. And man, this is gonna sound real shitty. Real shitty. I hate to do this, but have you seen this guy's girlfriend?
Yeah. Yes, I have.
So apparently it was just like one big orgy house at FTX, and they were all like fucking and swapping and being crazy, doing whatever they wanted. And word is that he's trying to kind of pin a lot of this stuff on his girlfriend, like she's the one that was really the mastermind behind it, and seducing men to come in and was like acting like a succubus, like pulling these dudes in with her beauty and charm and all this other stuff. Have you heard about any of this?
I mean, no, I haven't heard that part. His girlfriend's, I think, the nicest I could say. She's kind of mousy. I'm assuming, like, what was that Sam Bankman worth? $80 bazillion?
Yeah, something like that. If you're on the live stream right now, you can see a photo. If you're not on the live stream, just look up FTX founder girlfriend. You're going to see exactly what we're talking.
Okay.
I don't know how much of this he's going to be able to pin on this. Clearly,
Bro,
Down
but
syndrome,
seriously, how can it not be somewhat true? Like, I get that this dude's not a 10, but for a minute, he was worth billions of dollars.
Momoto says she's in Massachusetts 4.
Yeah. For a minute, he was worth billions of dollars, bro. Billions with a B, a big B. Like, he had a lot of celebrity endorsements that he, like, buying politicians. Aren't the level of chicks that try to get with that guy?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's models. Like, that's from France. Like, that's crazy shit. And this chick locked that guy down. That's a Gluck 5000. Like, can you imagine? Like,
no, it's not a Gluck 5000, Koi. It's autism.
I don't know what to tell you. It's got to be something.
Well, no, what I'm telling you right now is he was just like, oh, there's a woman that's willing to put her mouth on my pee-pee. This is the one. I'm now done. And money at that point doesn't matter because he's so autistic and narcissistic that he has no clue. And keep in mind, like, look at who his parents were and who this dude was surrounded by. I mean, funneling literally millions of dollars to one particular political party. There's so much stuff going on.
Well, it's funny thing. I don't know why it's not being reported. So he was buying a bunch of Democratic parties, right?
Mhm.
Like just so like his next in command was doing the same thing, but on the other side. So he was like the top donor, and then like one of his wards, like was like the second top donor on the Republican right side. They were literally just trying to get laws made in their favor, and it kind of worked for a while. So,
and that's why I said buying particular political sides, because the fingers were dipped in all of them, and it's just like
both literally and figuratively, from what I hear.
Oh yeah, I heard he ate some of Nancy Pelosi's ice cream. Jake says she's a Utah 5. Fireman Smitty says she's an Oregon 10. Ouch.
What a burn, bro. What a burn.
Momoto says he disappeared half of Tom Brady's wealth and Maxine Waters is his bestie. It's not wrong. He's not wrong. This is a real messed up situation. And what does this have in common with Carvana, by the way? Because they're both scams.
They both deserved it.
Holy shit, man. The world is just, I don't even know what to say anymore. I need a palate cleanser, Coy. Can we do that, please?
Yeah, let's do it.
I think it's time for our smoking dealer smoking a doob, just to cleanse the palate of all this horribleness.
Smoking deal or smoking a doobie.
None other than Sean Kastner sent this to us. Sean, Fiero is the best starter autocross car on the planet. Sean, the Fiero can whip a Miata's ass any day of the week.
To be fair, Sean, Andy, to be fair, our friend Aaron Samuelson shared this on Andy Lythal's page. The name is escaping me for some reason.
Crankshaft Culture.
Crankshaft Culture.
Oh yeah.
But it was just a screenshot, and I was like, link me the ad. And I'm pretty sure Sean caught it from there. But yes, it was on like a private Facebook group, but then somehow somebody found it and got it to us. Thank you. And if you didn't see me trying to get it and you just saw it and sent it to us because we needed it, I thank you even more. You know where my soul lies.
Yeah, buddy. Momomoto saying the thing that we didn't know, but actually are not surprised by at all. His first car was a 2M4.
I'm sorry, bro.
That means 4-cylinder with that 2.5 liter Iron Duke, baby.
Yeah.
Iron Duke. You know, our cousin, because Coy and I are actually cousins, our mutual cousin, John, you remember him?
Mm-hmm.
Do you remember the red Fiero he had?
I don't, thankfully.
We were young. We were kids back when he had it. And it was the craziest thing. Do you want to know what happened to that car?
Yeah, I do.
It caught fire.
What? Not a Fiero.
Yeah, burned to the ground. How weird is that?
It's
totally unexpected.
It's honestly not that weird, but I mean, tell me about this car, Andy. Tell me what's going on here.
All right, it is a 1985 Pontiac Fiero swapped 455 big block V8. Says it's got 90,000 miles on it. I believe that's the chassis. Automatic transmission, white, obviously, more grayish, but white gray. There you go. Seller's description: spent too much on Christmas and traveling, so now I have to let this bad boy go. Reluctant because it's one of a kind and so hard to find. Yes, but it's because people don't normally do this. Been garaged for years since my good friend had it. Runs and drives, 90,000 miles on the body. Odometer works, he puts in parentheses. Swapped in the early 90s with a 78 Olds Toronado with 120,000 miles on it. I have the panels that go on top in the trunk, in the side fake glass panels, and custom fiberglass replacements. Automatic. Pros: big freaking engine, one of a kind, just serviced. Loud, cool exhaust, little 80s car, street legal go-kart, eye-catching sleeper, phallic hood scoop. He's not lying. There's a giant hood scoop coming out of the back of this thing. Gets you from A to B in style. Not safe. That's in the pros. Okay. Here's the cons, Coy. Speed gauge doesn't seem to work. Very long drives, it overheats. Door locks, need some WD-40 or something. misfire until it warms up. Okay. Various wear and tear cosmetically, not perfect by any means, but that's part of the allure to someone. And last but not least, not safe. So that's both a pro and a con, Coy.
I actually just said this like a couple weekends ago where somebody was like, they have a Corvette, friend of mine's wife. It's like a 70s Corvette. And I was like, yeah, you got to do side pipes on that because they look the best, you know? And she was like, yeah, some people already warned me not to do the side pipes because it burns your feet. And I said, yeah, I know. Shit that's dangerous is cool. Fuck yeah, it could burn your feet, but it looks awesome. Pick a lane. Like everything that's dangerous is better. It's not safer, but it is way more fun.
And it's funny to think the old Tornado was front wheel drive. And so in theory, I mean, it didn't just plunk right in, but it was a 455 big block with a front wheel drive transmission that could, with a little massaging, be fit into the back of one of these. Honestly, it's probably the best thing that could have ever happened to this car because this is just a base model. It's not a special edition. It's not a formula. It's not nothing. It is just a base model vehicle. So honestly, I think this engine swap is probably the best thing that could have ever happened to this Fiero, period.
Mobile Moto did mention in here they used to throw the North Star Caddy V8s in these because they were a front drive V8 Cadillac. And I've seen several of those. Like that was a fairly popular swap in the late 2000s.
Those North Star V8s were actually pretty good, except for they were a nightmare to work on.
Yeah. I mean, they were trash, but they were quickish. And the price on this, Andy, what's he asking?
He is asking a paltry $5,500, Coy.
Yeah, I don't hate that price at first glance, man. I don't. Like, this has a huge fucking V8 in it. Like, what would a running 455 motor sell for? He's gonna get 1,500 out of that, right?
Yeah, but what would a running driving Fiero set you back? I want to say these days, I mean, I've been seeing them for $4,000 and $5,000 all day long.
That's also what I was gonna say next. And this Fiero, I mean, again, they're Facebook pictures, but pretty decent condition cosmetically, and the exterior, it's not. I don't see any big dents. Paint seems okay for the age. Like, yeah, the plastic's faded and the taillights and stuff, but what Fiero isn't, like for a Fiero of this era, it looks pretty decent. That giant hood scoop in the rear, I don't know what's going on there.
That's your air intake, baby.
And Saniam Industrial says there was a special edition ?
Yes.
There were several special editions, I believe. Wasn't there a GTO or GTX edition? There was a hot shoe edition. I don't remember what it was.
It was straight trash. It had the 3.1 liter V6 that was
but what was the acronym? Or
it was the Fiero formula.
There you go. Yeah, it would say formula and have like blue. Yeah, their formula was throw trash engines in the back of a Fiero, and then pay Motor Trend to review it favorably.
I love that video, man. I love that video. If we have time at the end of this episode, I'm going to pull it up and just play my favorite part of that video. For our money, we'd take the Fiero.
So while the MR2 was faster, better, cheaper, better looking, but for us, the Fiero.
Such horse shit. So stupid.
You can't say you're not being paid.
Oh man, yeah.
All right, man. Well, we gotta start nailing this down though. 5,500. That's still that's at least a month's worth of work for anybody. Probably more. Some people 2 months. That's a chunk of change. You're not going to daily drive this thing, right? I hope not.
It's going to be a fun toy. This definitely should not be a person's first car. It is located in McMinnville, Oregon, by the way, so it's not too far from you, Coy.
It's not far from me at all. I should go look. I should go try and test drive it.
You say that every week about all of these cars, man.
No, some of them I say I should go buy. This one I should go test drive. I have no intention of ever buying this. Now, so my biggest problem with this though It overheats on longer drives.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, it could be head gasket or something, but I'm going to just say there's just not enough cooling in this, which is surprising, kind of, because at least with MR2s, you almost never have to do anything to get more cooling because you have 90,000 feet of radiator hose that's doing 90% of the cooling, and then your radiator just kind of helps, and then it sends it back through another 12-foot radiator hose. So, and I'm assuming that Fieros would have been the same way, but that is a honking V8, bro.
Yeah,
So
it makes me wonder how everything is routed. Also, I mean, it's an older motor. I have to concern myself with like blow by and compression, that sort of thing. I mean, there's some stuff I'd really want to take a hard look at. And by the way, he says after very long drives it overheats. How long is a very long drive for him? Is it down the driveway? Is it around the block? Is it from Portland to North California? Like, there would be some serious questions to be answered here, right?
there are a lot of unknowns. I mean, this is honestly almost as much fabricated suicide as a dealer do, but because of the Fiero history of our show, I'm gonna go. There's too many cons. That overheating is a big deal. Not running right is a big deal. If it didn't overheat and it idled okay, I think he'd get this money all day long. I really do. But the overheating and the rough idling at start, you're going to chase a lot of people away. He's going to get 3,500 for this, maybe 4, but I don't see it. I see him getting 35 at best. 35, he might get 32. So I don't think he's going to get what he wants. And for me, bro, this is at my neighbor's house. Ugh. This is a gambler car for me, essentially. But even then, it overheats. So that's tough. So as a gambler car, I will, but it overheats. That's the thing, because you could just be throwing your money away. $800, dude. It's too big of a gamble for me because of the overheating. If I put a bigger radiator in it and solve it, or if maybe I can look at it and I see, we talk about it and I can reasonably believe that it's just a radiator issue and the motor's not doing something else funky, I'll bump it up to 1,500. It's still a gambler car for me. I mean, what am I going to do with it? It's automatic,
I hear you. Mobile Moto kind of sums up my feeling quite succinctly. No Fiero is worth more than $1,500. And that's kind of where I'm at. I mean, what is somebody going to pay for this thing? Look, it's in Oregon. And, the more heroin becomes like readily available in your state,
they've almost completely beat the heroin problem here. There's almost no heroin. Fentanyl's completely replaced the heroin.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, it's real hard to buy a car when you're dying on fentanyl. So, I mean, that's probably helping the used car market as well. Gosh, I don't know, man. I don't know. I don't think this is a total dupe. I really don't. I think someone's probably going to pay $5,000 for it. I honestly, I would not be surprised if he got $5,000 for it on the open market. For me, sitting in a neighbor's yard, $1,500, $1,200, just because I don't like Fieros. They're garbage car. And like you said, this one, it seems to have a lot of problems, whether they're solvable issues or not. It's got a big 455 big block V8 in it, which is cool, but it's a 1978. And so it makes 212 horsepower, or at least it did in 1978. So it probably makes 190 horsepower at the tire now.
If he would have got a rust bucket Porsche 914, which you can pick up, I haven't checked prices on those. You used to be able to get those super cheap. He could have totally fit this in there, zero problems, and I would have been much more interested in it then. But he picked a Fiero. I don't know what to tell you, man.
Sometimes people think Fieros are good cars. Sometimes those people are wrong, and that's just the way of the world. There's two types of people in this world, Coy. People who think Fieros are good and people who know the truth.
Look, there's people who think Fieros are good. I always ask those people, where's your Fiero then? Because they don't have a Fiero.
Yeah. Well, I don't want to pay $7,000 for a Fiero. Yeah, neither does anybody else. Literally anybody else.
I would like to point out the resale value of first gen MR2s right now versus Fieros.
Oh yeah, it's not even a comparison. I will tell you one thing that I would like to do with a Fiero. It does involve an engine swap, obviously. I always thought the supercharged 3.8 out of like the
Pontiac Bonneville or something.
Bonneville, the Riviera, that sort of car. I always thought that would be cool because those are very competent and capable engines that's going to get you not great fuel economy, but similar fuel economy to the original engine. This motor in this thing, you know, it's got the tiniest ports in the heads, tiniest ports on the face of the planet. I guarantee you it gets 12 miles a gallon and makes 190 horsepower to tire. I guarantee it. So it's not even going to be that exciting. You're going to hear all that sound. He's got super trap mufflers on it, which are horrible. I don't know why anybody uses super trap mufflers anymore.
Here's my other deal. Like,
so restrictive.
It's cool that you put a V8 in it, bro, but K swaps are a thing.
Yeah.
Like if this car had a turbo K in it with a 6-speed manual, where would your feelings lie? They would be haunted and weird and a lot of stuff, but you'd be like, I kind of want it, right?
They'd be different. I'm not going to lie. They'd be different.
So I can't say that there's never a moment where I'm going to say never a Fiero, turbo K swap Fiero. I think I'd have to check it out. Like, I'd be into that.
Well, Momomoto just really summed it up. If Jay Leno doesn't have a Fiero, it's not a good car. Now, I have to assume that Jay Leno has a Fiero or two. He just doesn't.
I bet he has 5. Oh, Jake says GPX. Yes, Fiero GPX. That was their another special edition or hot shoe, whatever the fuck you want to call it.
Still, I mean, paled in comparison to just like the base model MR2, but whatever, you know, we're having fun with it.
Every sports car.
I would sooner have a Honda engine swapped smart car than I would have a V8 swapped Fiero. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I feel that way as well.
Like if somebody came to me and they said, hey, for $5,500, you can either have this big block 455 swapped into a Fiero, or you can have an American B16A with just like the American open differential front wheel drive transmission. Okay. From the Del Sol. From a 1993 Del Sol. Sorry, it took me a second to remember which cars had the B16. I feel like that was the only American car that had the B16, wasn't it?
It might have been, now that you say that. I think so.
It doesn't matter. If somebody told me I took a wrecked Del Sol and I put the engine in the back of a smart car, I would pay $5,500 for that before I would pay $5,500 for a V8 swapped Fiero.
I'm right there with you, unless I thought the V8 was, you know, some flat plane crank monstrosity with individual throttle bodies. But just saying both those things like it is, yeah, I gotta go. Busa smart cars are cool, you know.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Momo says the saddest car club that isn't ironic is the Fiero Club of America. It's, I mean, yeah, it's true. It's true. So, Corey,
I mean, it really is ironic if you think about it, though.
It is, but they're not trying to be ironic. That's
that's true.
Yeah. So, Coy, obviously, I mean, this thing lands solid Doob territory for you, right?
It's solid Doob, but if this was fabricated suicide, my feelings would be totally different. You know what I mean?
Well, if it was fabricated suicide, I would expect the cost of this vehicle to be somewhere more in the $1,500 to $2,000 range. And if it was, I think this would be a very different conversation. But at $5,500,
there would be a serious it would be a serious fire hazard.
And I don't. Again, this is just my own personal opinion. I think at $5,500, he's probably going to get an offer for $5,000, and it wouldn't surprise me if he took it. But again, I don't think that's what this thing is worth at all. So heavy stamp hard doob. This isn't a soft doob. This was not an easy slide out with just like one wipe of toilet paper. This was hard, and yet it's like you've got a dry erase marker in your butthole, because every time you wipe, there's still a little bit of shit left. That's the kind of doob that this thing is. That's my personal opinion. Where do you land?
I'm the same. It's a solid Doob.
There it is, folks. If you've got a different feeling about this car, let us know. We'd love to know your opinion. Is it a deal? Is it a doob? Are we talking out of our asses? Maybe you are a Fiero apologist, a Fiero enthusiast. I mean, at this point, apologist, enthusiast, it's kind of one and the same, but maybe you know more than we do. Let us know in the comments. We always want to hear those, and we always love and appreciate seeing that. But for right now, this one is certified doob.
Smoking Deal or Smoking-est Deal.
Well, Coyford, this has been an amazing episode. Thank you so much, my friend. As always, people can find you where?
You could find me on the Horsepower Hour Facebook page group. Feel free to message the Horsepower Hour group and just say, hey, Coy, I hate your face. Or I really agree with you on that thing with Feed and Factory HOA. I'm ready to put down money right now. Let's start it. Like, you always welcome to send me a message or send any message. Just let us know who you're talking to.
Coy is ready, willing, and able to fist fight somebody right now.
Right. Literally right now.
Ignore that bulge in his pocket. It's definitely not a taser. Well, you guys, once again, thank you so much for joining the podcast. We sure do appreciate it. Facebook.com/The Horsepower Hour is where you can come and connect with us. The group, Facebook.com/groups/The Horsepower Hour. Come on over and join the conversation. If you're listening to this on the podcast, come and check the live stream out sometime. If you're watching on live stream right now, we sure do appreciate you. But if you can't make it next time, look forward to hearing that podcast within just a couple of days after we do this live stream. So thank you again, you guys, for being here. Thank you for telling a friend about the show. It really is what keeps the wind in our sails. Coy, we're going to see you next week, buddy, right?
You know it. You know it.
Christmas is right around the corner. Next week, we're going to be doing a Christmas episode talking about what we want for Christmas. And then the week following, we'll talk about what we did get for Christmas. And trust me, they're going to be very different lists. Coy, thank you once again, my friend. I appreciate you. And all you guys out there, thank you so much for joining the show. And for Coy Forticus and Masterson, this is Andy. We will see you next time.